How have you been able to stick better to your routine? Because, dude, you show up a lot, like consistently. How do you do that?
Tristan, I don't know if I'd call it an epiphany, but maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. So here we are, spring break for winter, and I'm down here at the lake, which is where I spend most of my time now. But she's with me this week, and I have both dogs. So Sarah's in school, so she had to go back to St. Louis.
Oh,
And so I was sitting there thinking this morning while everyone's still sleeping in my bed, the kid and the two dogs. Um, I gotta strategically plan this week because I've got a little extra on my plate. I'm taking care of everything, right?
yep.
And so as I was laying there, I just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna jump into my one of my TikTok drafts into one of because I basically post you know, I post in my stories all the time, but twice a day. One is for Lake of the Ozarks lifestyle, one is for my personal brand. And so I just jumped into my drafts and knocked him out while I was still laying in bed. So like before 7:30. And I was thinking to myself, why don't I do this every day?
Yeah.
There are so many days when I'm scrambling at 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock PM, like I got to get something posted. And I'm like, why don't I just do a better job of planning out my week, drafting content, and getting it posted before I even get up out of bed? And that's done. Check off the list for the day.
I like that.
Yeah, it's not rocket science, but I don't know why here we are, how many years later, and I just now, you know,
Well, that's
I don't know.
because everything else gets in the way, dude. It's not as easy as it sounds.
It's true. It's true. And finding that rhythm. Now that I'm here more, you've got my calendar here on the board, which I'm tracking my long forms. I'm writing down. I've got, my prospective longs, the shorts I've got to get done and edit, and then some scheduled shoots that I have to go to, um, yeah, I'm just trying to find organization, man.
I think the key in my schedule, now that you're talking about schedule, is having a system that I can go back to when I fall off of it, right? So if for any reason my schedule got screwed up, something happened with at home or at work, and now I'm playing catch up, and there's no way, let's say I'm going to be able to shoot a video where I think it's okay quality, like not just
Mhm.
like just throw shit up and then get blasted, which we've had, which we'll talk about right now. But for me, it feels, for me personally, I'm like, okay, if I'm not doing anything today, number one, I'm just gonna post a picture with words, and then tomorrow I'll get back on schedule. And
Yeah.
that means video, long form, and a regular post. For me, it's about if I fall off, can I get back on quickly? And the only way I can do that is if I do exactly what you did on your board right now, which is, short form, long form, have it outlined. Well,
Hmm.
how do you feel about that?
I, well, I'm curious actually. I was going to ask you because so when I look at my day, I basically look at three places. I've got to do a Lake of the Ozarks short. This is a
Okay.
daily routine, not longs or throw that out. So a daily routine is one Lake of the Ozarks short every day, one Jeff Fitzer short every day. Actually, I've scaled that back to probably about 5 days a week instead of seven.
Okay.
And then living my stories all day. Right. That's how I kind of wake up every day. That's my plan. I'm curious, what is because you've got a lot of stuff going on, and I have a team that manages other things, and they manage the diversifying it, putting it out to different places. They manage the some of the business social pages. Um, what does yours look like? So when I say those three, what is Tristan managing of his day and his socials?
All right. So for me, it comes down to the video for the podcast channel I have, because now I do the audio and the video, which is Your Daily Real Estate. But for that one, I require planning the day before or 2 days before, because I don't just show up and be like, hey, today I'm going to talk about and then not know what the fuck to talk about. I like for it to be quality, and I usually give a download on top of that. So it requires planning. That's one, like audio, video, and I have to choose the picture that it's going to go with and the words because we're trying to grow our YouTube channel, right? So
Hmm.
we're being very specific on that. Number two is I have a static post, and it's usually that one is how I'm feeling about the current real estate world, both market, production, but more importantly for me, emotional, right? And you see those, I post those almost daily, right?
Hmm.
I just decided, Jeff, I decided maybe like 2 months ago to start adding a picture of me.
I saw
I'm,
that. I've noticed that.
I'm like, how would this work? Right? And it has worked. It's worked dramatically better, which is like was a surprise.
Also easily executable.
Yes, easy because I can just go back if I don't have a picture, I can go back.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then number three, I do a short video that's news related. And then I always say I use that short video and I make a long video from it, explaining it in detail, going that goes to the consumer. But that last video long form, sometimes that one is the one that gets the cut if I don't make my schedule. I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. That one's the one that gets the cut.
Got it. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think it's fascinating to hear, and I think it's good for whoever's listening to this, Brian and whoever else. Thank you for being here.
Oh, we sneak them in.
But to also hear that like guys in our position, all we're going through the same struggles.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And I think for many of you listening, if anybody listening is it's typically you just have one page, one persona, one brand. And I'm not minimizing it to say, well, you've got it easier. I'm not saying that at all. You also don't have a team probably, but when
Mm,
you
true.
you got to find your rhythm. You got to find your cadence. Again, for me, it was like this weekend, I had all sorts of shit. Like over the last several days, like from Thursday, Friday through the weekend. And what typically will happen is I forget, like, oh shoot, I was driving by and I pulled over and flew my drone over the water park that's getting a complete overhaul just because I want to do a update video. And sometimes it's like if pictures and videos get buried and it's like, oh crap, I forgot what I need to edit. And so, find your thing. And so for me, it's like, well, I
Hmm.
know I'm going to be in this office every day. This calendar's right next to my desk. It's so much so that it's on camera. And it's like, I can't forget this. And so it's just my daily reminder. Find your thing. Find your
How have, you know, maybe we'll stick here because now I'm curious. How have you been able to stick better to your routine? Because, dude, you show up a lot, like consistently. How do you do that? How
just
have you figured it out for yourself?
I think it's well for me it's just discipline. I mean, it's a non-negotiable. I think social has become well, it is for so many a struggle and a quote unquote extra because kind of funny the video I put out today, which is about how chasing shiny objects, and that's what social media is for so many of you because you jump into it because you feel like you have to do it, and then you do it for a few weeks, you realize, wow, this is work, and then you don't see any results from it and then you vacate it just like any other marketing. And that was what my video's point was. It's like it's not the marketing that doesn't work, it's you that didn't work it long enough. That's how I ended the video.
Mm,
And so for me, you and I, we've experienced the result. Like we're sold. This is a passion project of personal experience. And so it's just a non-negotiable, man. It's there's literally not a day that goes by that I don't think about it. And
yeah.
some days the thought is, I'm not going to think about it today. It's like I
Yeah,
have those
no.
days, but 90% of the time, 95% of the time, it's like, all right, what am I going to do today? Um, and always planning. And you and we talk about this too. Is the further you get along on this journey, the easier it gets to create. consistency.
Mhm.
So to the point, and I think you could probably agree with this. I have way too much. So the hardest part for me is all right, siphoning through when is this going to go? When is that going to go? Now, for me, Tristan, especially at the lake, I do so much content for people. I now tell people when I'm done recording, hey, unless I know it's timely, I'm
Mhm.
like, this could be 2 to 6 weeks before I post this. And
Wow.
if it's a paying customer, like they get priority. But a lot of the stuff I do is just being doing stuff for the community. And there's certain realtors I work with, and I don't charge them. And I'm just like, listen, you're just not you don't pay me, so you'll get it when you get it. Um, and so
Uh,
yeah, but I'm now setting the tone with people because it's like, hey, I don't know, there might be something more important that might pop up. I'm sorry, but it's the way it goes.
well, with that, how are you, how do you decide to show up for yourself so that you don't get caught up in the metrics and in the in the emotions that we see on social media? Because some people, you and I see this often, and it's people are like, "Oh, I'm checking out of Facebook," or "You know what? I'm going to take a break of social media," or and then you also have a lot of people that are psychologists, therapists. They're outspoken and they say, you know, you need to take a break from social or you need to do detox. I look at it, Jeff, and I'm like, okay, we, you know, I think you and I are built differently. There are people out there like us. I don't need a detox. I don't need to take a break. It doesn't affect me at all.
Yeah.
But I know it affects some people. So how do you deal with it? Does it affect you sometimes? Tell me. I want to know.
Very minimally. It's a learned thing. I think you've identified this in me, and I think you're the same way, is we compartmentalize. It's a psychological term, right?
Hmm.
Um, and people that compartmentalize tend to be less emotional, show less emotion, be more even keel, and less affected by things. And so when you said that, I, I, I don't mean to disrespectfully giggle about it,
Hmm.
because that's not what I'm intending. I'm giggling because I, 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 I don't know how to say this without being offensive. Because my own kids go through this. My older daughters, they depression and what
Anxiety. Yeah.
that and the mental makeup. And I think
Well,
I
maybe,
can't understand the
hold on,
other
Jeff.
side.
Maybe it's maybe it's that, well, you know, you and I are also the same age, right? So maybe it's that we've gone through some shit, right? That has really helped us either put it in a little side bucket and not worry about it, right? Or realize that it really isn't as important as we once thought something like that would be. Is it just the experience, do you think, and us going through a lot of shit?
I don't know that age has anything to do with it because I know people my age that also go through the struggle. The only thing I know, and I've had to mature with this because when I was younger, as I was having these conversations with my ex-wife and the daughters that came from that ex-wife,
Hmm.
um, I was always the way they looked at me was his dad just doesn't believe in that stuff. Dad minimizes that stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so as I've matured, although
Huh.
I still think it's a weak, and this is probably wrong to say, but to me, it's like it's a weak mind or a not a strong mind.
Oh, because you
Um,
know what? Hold on. You and I came from that era where our parents would be like, you know,
maybe
what?
that,
What is it? Dude, I'd get like whipped and be like, get out of that, right?
yeah,
So that doesn't, that's, yeah.
toughen up, toughen up.
Okay, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. So then it does have to do with our age and when we grow up.
But then again, my ex-wife struggles with this, and this is where so it's like,
So
um,
parents,
yeah, in her case, and
environment,
well, yeah,
interesting.
yeah, yeah, and that there probably is some nurture there, um, in her case. I do think society has what's the word? They've it's like I have these conversations with my wife, like the terms like gaslighting and narcissism, they're almost taboo. It's like I tease my wife sometimes. I'm like, would you, and this is, sometimes we're literally arguing. It's like, would you get out of the Instagram psychiatry center? Like, because that's the bullshit. Like you're watching these videos of people talking about these things, and then everyone goes out into the world now and starts labeling people as gaslighters or narcissists or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
And before Instagram, before these videos, you didn't even these terms were not mainstream. Now
Yeah,
they've become so mainstream they're overused.
that's a good point. It's a good point. It
I
goes
don't know.
along with the same idea that um, shadow banning didn't exist, right? Before social, obviously,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
you didn't have that term. But the idea is similar. Instead of taking responsibility and saying, my videos, my content is actually really terrible, and that's why it has no momentum, right? Because the algorithm is just people. Well, people don't like what they see, right? So they're not
yeah,
engaging with it. So I think it comes down to partially, okay, partially to responsibility of the self and saying, hey, what can I do better internally to be able to deal with all this much better, right? How am I showing up for myself daily? The other part, though, I do feel like in our current political environment, right? There has been a bigger uh, disconnect between two sides, right?
mm,
And that's hurting a lot of people, and rightfully so,
yeah,
because um, sometimes I see some things. I'm brown, even though I don't look brown. I'm not that brown, right? But I am brown, and and sometimes I see shit, and I'm like, fuck, that's crazy. This is like, what the hell is going on, right?
mm-hmm,
But the thing that I do quickly is I do my best. Well, one is I realize I can't do shit about it for the most part, right? Unless I go all in and go out there and start making noise and that's a whole different world for me. The other thing is what can I do internally with my community or my family and think, well, what can I actually control?
yeah,
And I think that allows me to control it a little bit better. But I'll tell you, it doesn't make it easy because you and I see the struggles on social from our friends and and even people that aren't our friends that are acquaintances. We see it, dude.
yeah. Well, and it's not just, yeah, obviously it's the same struggle that people go through. I always equate it to weight loss or going through that journey, that exercise
Any
journey.
struggle. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like to me, very simply put, like I can sympathize with the struggle, but that's where it stops because I can't understand it. But here's one perspective that I would challenge anybody who genuinely wants to overcome it is simply look at this as massive opportunity because that's what it is. The reality is that most humans will never be able to have the wherewithal or the mental discipline to overcome this. And
Hmm.
all of these things will hold them back, which creates opportunity for you. So, although you might struggle with it, know that if you can overcome it by 10%, that's 10% ahead that you're going to get. And just keep working for an extra 10% all the time. And again, and I think Tristan, this is kind of cliche, but man, surround yourself with mentally strong people. If you surround yourself with people that that really really struggle, they're going to pull you in to
Hmm.
to that struggle. And
Yeah, because
it's
that's all you're focused on. Good point.
big time. I cannot stress. I mean, that goes with everything. It's again, same thing. If you're going on a
Yeah.
weight loss journey, get a partner who's going through the same journey. If you're, going to run a marathon, find a partner. You're stronger together. And because you're going to have bad days and you need each other to lift each other up. So find the people that can help lift you up. But here's what I will say. And I personally can sympathize with this one because I had these conversations with my daughters, and I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to be hard on you. I'm not trying to tear you down. It's just the way I deal with this to myself, which is which is the mental which is the conversation in my head, like be tougher, like that kind of thing, right? Um, and so just know that when I say things to you that might feel like I'm being cold or callous, I'm really just doing what I need to do. And I know it may not work for you, but understand like that's where I come from. That's the place that I come from. And it, dude, it's another conversation in and of itself. That's what makes parenting so freaking challenging.
That's so true, buddy. I know what you I know what you mean. That's nuts.
Yeah.
All
You're
right.
not there yet. You're not there yet, but you're getting there soon. Your kids are getting
Yeah,
older.
I'm feeling it. Like 18 now, and my little guy's
Your
about.
daughter's 18?
I know, dude. We're waiting to see this month where she gets accepted. So
What the F, dude?
I
What,
know.
okay, what's the target? Like
She just applied everything in California. So
what's if dad had to choose, if dad got to choose, where would she go?
UCLA because it's close and it's a great school,
Yeah.
and then UCLA because it's close.
You know that you said UCLA both.
I know.
Oh.
It's close. Come on. I don't
Oh,
want
okay. What's her number one choice?
to. Yeah, I mean, UCLA would be good. UC Santa Barbara is close too. She likes that one.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That's a good party school I
But
hear.
dude, we've got a lot of really great schools so close to us. Like
Mhm.
she
You
doesn't need to.
so you would be against probably a San Diego or a San Francisco, a Bay Area.
Berkeley was okay, but then I'd have to move, Jeff.
Really? You'd move
I'm
for her?
attached. So yeah. And then she applied to Stanford, but I've seen the qualifications of Stanford students. We're not there yet. So there you go.
That's cool. Well, that's cool that she's even in the conversation. I should be proud of her.
Yeah, it's fun, dude. It's fun. Anyway, yeah, 18. Crap.
Wow, I can't believe that.
I know. Thanks, bro.
All right,
Good
buddy.
conversation, man.
Yeah, this one went down a rabbit hole.
I like it.
Save your other topic for the next one.
Yes, next week. Thanks, man.